Okay, to wind this up, I've got two stories that I want to tell you. They were very special experiences, one in each of the Philippines and Florida, Tallahassee. In the Philippines, when we uh, got there, Mr. President was going to have us uh, work in the office. And he said, I don't feel like I should have you work in the office. I would like to have you go to Caragano and lift them and help them get ready to be in the state. And I said, oh, how do you want us to go about that? And he said, I don't know, ask him, and pointed upward like that. And I thought, oh my word, I've never, ever had a missionary experience like this where they just turn it over to you to decide what your mission is going to be. Well, anyway, after a lot of prayer, we finally decided that we wanted to have a welfare fund. We didn't know why. We really didn't know why. Because there wasn't anybody starving in the area, because all you had to do is climb a coconut tree, and you get coconuts, and climb a banana tree, and you get bananas. And that was just about any time of the year. And so there wasn't anybody dying from it, but they could get pretty hungry. I realized that. But a welfare program was still a good thing to have. But it kept coming to us, and so I called the mission president and I told him, the thing that keeps coming to us is to have a welfare fund. He said, well, that's a mission. Let's go ahead and do it. He said, okay, I wasn't about to ask him how we should go about it. We spent plenty of time on our knees. And we got a lead from someone to go to a member in Tocloban who owned some land. So we went to her. She had 12 hectares. 12 hectares of land, which is like 40 acres, something like that. But those are the size farms that they used there. And they did everything with carabao, which is a water buffalo. Anyway, we went and talked to her, and her husband was deceased. She owned the land, and she said, Elder Valley, you can have that land and use it however you would like to use it for as long as you need to use it. Well, you can't get better than that. It didn't cost us anything, nothing. It was just something that we could use. We went out and see it. It's a beautiful place. It had a pond right in the middle of it. And that pond had a very important purpose. When you're working with carabao, after about an hour or two of work, they have to go and soak in a pond because they have no wetlands. And so that was something that had to be. Well, we plowed it this first time with carabao. And honestly, we hired the guy to come and do it, but it was the darndest thing I've ever seen in my life. Now this land hadn't been under cultivation for quite some time. And so we were plowing land that was only been fallow for 5 years or so. And so this young man just plowed and plowed and plowed and plowed. And then when you get through, if you want to till it up good, you have to plow it again. There's no other way to do it. And so it working until finally we had it so that it was workable. And we planted our crops. We planted squash, we planted cassava, we planted peanuts. And you didn't have to worry about water there because it rained enough that it took care of the problem. Well, we had a great crop the first time, 4 new crops like that, out of solid land. And the next one that came was a little better. And so we figured that the third time, you can plant 3 times in a year. So that's pretty nice. Time it came, we thought, boy, this is going to be really good. We had fertilized. What's funny is they don't fertilize the whole area. They fertilize right where the plant's going to be planted. You don't plant out of the row. You don't fertilize out of the row. You fertilize what's in that row. And it's really, really strange, for an old farm boy to do something like that, because we fertilized the whole thing and tilled it all under, so that no matter where you planted, it was going to have fertilization. But anyway, that's the way they do it. Well, we tilled it all up, we leveled it out, we planted the seed, and they started coming up just barely. And suddenly we realized that it hadn't rained for 2 weeks. Now in that area, not raining for 2 weeks is serious business. So we definitely felt like we were having a drought. And we bought a bunch of plastic buckets. We had a creek, but it was way down over the hill. And how can you water 30 acres or so with buckets? But we were going to try. And I can remember the kids saying, we don't care if we have to do this every day for the rest of the year. We're going to water these plants. And they go down to the creek and get their buckets full and come up and maybe water 6 plants with it. They go back down, and there was about 20 or 30 of them doing it, and they were just one after another, after another, after another, and they were trying to water these plants. Well, after a while, we were doing what we do in the morning, particularly on Saturdays. Wanda was the washerwoman, and I was the iron man. And so when she got through washing them and drying them, then I would take them and iron them out. And I walked over to the window. Oh no, excuse me, I'm getting my tang tangled. That Saturday morning, his first Saturday morning, we woke up to a telephone call, and it was a little couple. We built a nipa hut for them, and they lived out there on the farm. That was kind of necessary because there was a lot of theft in the Philippines. If somebody was there, why there's much less opportunity for them to steal. Well, they called, and he was just beside himself. He thought it was his fault that we were having a drought, and he really, really, really upset. And I said, well, hold on, we're going to be there in just 30 minutes, so give us that much time, we'll be there. And as soon as I hung up, I told Wanda about it, and we jumped in the van and drove out there. It only took about 15 minutes drive, but of course we had to button some things up and put some clothes on. We run around the apartment naked all the time. No, I'm just kidding. But certainly not clothed as we should out in the public. And we got there, and we pulled into the farmyard, and there they were standing there looking like death warmed over. And they showed us the squash, and they should have been, and it had been a month by then, or maybe a little more, I don't know, of no water. And the dirt was so dry, it was just like powder. And these squashes had little tiny leaves on like this, and they should have been a great big ones, And the runners on those squash, the little line that goes out. They were like 6 inches long, and they should have been a lot bigger, more like 4 or 5 feet. And the peanuts, some of them were up, 2 inches, and some of them were up. Well, I don't know if any of them were up 2 inches, but some of them were up like an inch or an inch and a half. But some of them hadn't even come through the ground yet. And you run over to cassava. Cassava is like, kind of like a sweet potato. Only it grows, there's a big long stem that comes up from it. And they eat it much like a sweet potato. And they were just, some of them were a foot long and some of them were 5 feet high, straggly looking. And it was really kind of sad. We walked down to the van and they were feeling really bad, and they wanted to go over and look at there was a pump place, but whenever you had a drought, the water went down so deep, they couldn't pump it out. So it was of no value whatsoever. I walked over up on a little rise under a big mango tree, and I was there. I went there, and for the first time in my life, I prayed out loud. And the substance of my prayer was, Thou art the one who gave us the idea to have a farm. Canst thou make sure that this works? Can't thou call upon the rains to come, and they will come? And to make the cassava grow the way it's supposed to? And can't you make the peanuts, bless them so that they will grow and be healthy and strong? And the squash in the same sense? And the rains, that they will come? And the Spirit said to me, You have the priesthood, you do it. And it just jolted me. So I thought, certainly. And so I turned to the cassava first. And I blessed the cassava that it would grow to the height and the strength that it would have been had we had plenty of rain. And then I turned to the peanut. I blessed it. It would all come up. And it would be the size, the strength that it should have been at this time. Turned to the squashes, they gave it the same blessing. Then I looked skyward, and I said, Bless the clouds, bless the rain clouds, that they will come, and that they will gather, and that they will bring rain to these thirsty crops. Then I ended my prayer, and I went to the van, and Wanda was just getting there herself. And I told her what had happened, told her I really felt good about it, and we drove home feeling somewhat all right. Tried to reassure the little couple that it wasn't their fault and that things would work out. Well, the next morning we did what we always do. He was washer wheeler and I was iron van work. And I walked over to at one point I walked over to the window and I looked up in the sky, and there was a little tiny fluffy cloud up there. It looked like about the size of a tennis ball. It was really little. I thought, boy, it's got to hurry. And I walked back and started ironing again. Pretty soon, Wanda said, Is that rain on the kitchen window? And I said, No, it's not. Then I thought, well, maybe that would be. So I looked through the bedroom door where I was and saw the kitchen window, and it had splatters on it. So I walked over to the deck door. Oh, and one of the things I have to tell you, is that I said, when the rain comes, make sure that it comes in a mist, because a heavy rain would tear the squash right out of the ground. And when I opened that deck door, I was met with this thickest mist I have ever witnessed. It was really heavy. We hurried up and finished and jumped in the van and went out to the farm. When we got there, the little farm couple were dancing around. We opened the doors and they said, Sister Dolly, come see. We went over to the squash and they showed us what had happened. And the leaves were great big leaves. And the runners were 6 to 8 feet long. All of that in 12, 14 hours. I don't know how long it had been exactly, but not very long. Went down to the peanuts and they were all up 2.5 inches or so and flat as a tabletop. They were all up and robust. Went to the cassava and they were 6 feet tall and as flat as a tabletop. As far as the height, they were all the same height and really robust. It was amazing. Talk about answers to your prayers. It was just plain amazing. We told the mission president about our experience. And well, before I get to that, the little couple was dancing around so much, and I told the little man, well, just like it was your responsibility and fault that it was a drought, it's now the same responsibility. It's yours that brought the rain. So see how much good you're doing. And of course they laughed and were so happy to see it. And I called the mission president, told him the experience. And later in the month, he called me and he said, I've had an experience. I started in Tacloban and I started to drive towards Caracalla where you are. And as I got closer and closer to Caracalla, the greenery on the mountain became greener and more lush. And in Caracalla, it was normal. It was great. Then as I went through on my way to Ormo, it got drier and drier and drier until I was driving in the drought again. What a wonderful thing. What a wonderful thing that the priesthood is. What a wonderful blessing that we have the organization and the priesthood and faith. Faith. And the fact that women have as much or more faith than men shows you that they have the power of the priesthood as well. They don't have the key, but they have the power of the priesthood. What other power would it be? I'm so grateful for that experience. It taught me so much about